G'day and welcome to FarmSim News, where we bring you all the news and information about upcoming content, patches, and improvements that are coming to Farming Simulator 22 down the road. Today we will be talking about the Precision Farming DLC, which we now have a date for. So if you don't want to miss out on any news or information about this content or any other content, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and hit that notification bell. In addition to bringing you more information as Giants releases it, we will also be doing a deep dive into precision farming and any other DLC that gets released when it's released. Alright, first, for those of you that are familiar with precision farming from Farming Simulator 19, I will give you a quick overview of the new features that Giants have said will be coming. They haven't gone into great detail yet, but they have a list of new features that will be coming with precision farming in Farming Simulator 22. For those of you who are not at all familiar with precision farming, I will give you a quick overview in Farming Simulator 19 of what it was, what it did, and how you can expect it to change your game or playstyle in Farming Simulator 22 when it gets released. It really is, for those who haven't played it, a game-changing DLC. And the good news is, while it's a DLC, it is completely free. It is funded and sponsored by John Deere and the European Union, as well as the EIT Foods. I won't go into detail exactly as to what that acronym is. That's really not relevant. But those are the people sponsoring the DLC. And Giants are developing it. So, like I said, good news is it's free. Even better news is it's coming very soon. It is coming April 19th, 2022 to Farming Simulator 22. The new features that Giants have talked about, like I said, they haven't given a lot of details on these yet, but there will be more announcements and more details coming soon, they promise. So, new features. Crop sensors, an environmental score. I'm guessing that's going to be a rating of how well your farm is doing in terms of pesticide, herbicide, and other chemical use, or if you are farming fairly naturally. Variable rate seeding and drilling is another feature, as well as variable rate weed control. Variable rate manure fertilizing is the second to last new feature they have announced so far. We kind of had that in 19 version, but it was really only truly applicable to fertilizer spreaders and planters that had fertilizer built into them. The good news for those of you like me that did not like driving around the farm and having to take the gator with that little attachment to it and boring holes in the ground all over the place to take soil samples, you will be able to purchase a soil sample map. I guess like hiring an agronomist and having him come out to your farm and take the soil samples for you and then send them away for analysis. What I find interesting is that the screenshot provided by Giants is of a John Deere sprayer, which will be new to the game. Excellent. You can never have too much John Deere stuff. Well, for some people, you can never have too much John Deere stuff. Anyway, it looks like it is spraying a field of grass for weeds on the Erlengrad map. So weeds and grass isn't something we've really had to deal with till now. So I think that's going to be one of those unannounced features that either they are going to talk about more down the road, or it's just going to be included in the pack. Okay, so that's all the news I have right now for those of you that are familiar with precision farming. For those of you that are not familiar with precision farming, let's go into some details. So the first thing that precision farming provided us with was better control over our AI workers through the use of the RTK base stations. There were a couple of different ones provided with the DLC, and you could place, well, you needed one on the map to communicate with your tractors. And basically what it did, like I said, is it made your AI workers a lot more efficient. You know how there's some overlap right now between the edge of the seeder and what it's already seeded, so you're kind of getting a little bit of double seeding going on? Well, the AI workers were now smart enough to know exactly where that edge was and avoided double seeding. So that's something I'm really looking forward to coming back to Farming Simulator 22. Now, we'll talk about soil samples, and each map had its own either type of soil or types of soil. And this could be found under the satellite imagery icon, which was the Precision Farming DLC icon. And on this map, actually, I own the whole farm. That's why I have paid for the soil sample, so I know what all the soil across the farms are. You have loamy sand, sandy loam, silty clay, and, well, soil sample sake, and I'm not taking any soil samples right now, so you won't get to see that. It also had a yield chart, so it would show you which of your farm areas or fields are yielding the best. Obviously, the higher the yield, the better that field was doing. I'm assuming in Farming Simulator 22, this yield is going to be combined with the existing yield improvements. How high it'll go, I don't know. The other thing the map showed you, as long as you kept fairly up to date on your sensor or soil samples, was how much nitrogen was in each field. Now, each crop in Farming Simulator 19, when this was introduced, needed a certain amount of nitrogen, as in fertilizer or manure, to grow properly. And it ranged all the way from 0 up to 200 kilograms a hectare. And the same thing for pH. You adjusted the pH by spreading lime on the field. Different crops required slightly different pH, but more or less all of the crops required 6.5 to 6.75 pH levels. Now back to the soil types. Each soil type has a slightly different requirement and will yield slightly differently, as we saw. This is the Welka Farms map, one of my favorites, by Black Sheep Modding, was it? Let me correct myself right now. It was by Mapper's Paradise. Anyway, if you like big open fields, it was a great map. So this field had cotton in it. This was the DLC where they introduced the field info screen, which is now a permanent feature in Farming Simulator 22. And as you can see, it's been harvested. Its nitrogen is 60. Its pH is okay, so I mean it would prefer if you put some lime on it. And the soil type is loam. We have no weeds. Growth status is harvested, so it works pretty much the same way as the field info screen does now, except it gives us the additional details regarding pH and nitrogen levels. Over here we have a harvested soybean field, and it is saying the nitrogen is perfect because soybeans are, well, it's one of the reasons they're in most farmers' crop rotations is they actually put nitrogen. They don't require any nitrogen, but they put nitrogen into the ground, which is why we have 60 of 0 kilograms a hectare needed if we were going to plant soybean back in this field. As I said, each crop required a different amount of nitrogen per hectare. Let's have a look at the canola field over here, and it required 200 kilograms a hectare. Once harvested, that amount drops. Based on, I'm just giving you the very quick rundown of how it worked. Based on whether your crop added nitrogen or took nitrogen away and how much nitrogen it took away, allowed you to plan a proper field rotation to maximize your nitrogen usage so you weren't spreading more than you have to. So this is what they talked about when they talked about variable rate fertilization, and I'm guessing it's going to be the same as manure fertilizing in the upcoming one, where basically the way it works in real life is you take a soil sample each season, you know how much nitrogen to put down per acre or hectare in Farming Simulator terms, and that way you're not wasting any. This is very, very important, both financially for farmers, as you don't want to be wasting money, especially at today's fertilizer prices, and secondly, over-fertilization can be bad for both the environment and the crop. Too much fertilizer can actually burn a crop. If you've ever spilt a bag of fertilizer on your lawn and haven't cleaned it up in time, it will leave a dead spot where it's killed your grass. Too much fertilizer, as I said, is also bad for the environment because it leaches into the ground and then into the water system. And does, well, I won't go into the ecological damage it does, but it does do damage to rivers, streams, lakes, the natural environment. Okay, the final feature that was really, really good in precision farming was your crop analysis or economic analysis tool. You could select a field. I'm going to take a field that doesn't have anything on it because the game calculates a complete field area. It does not calculate, say this or this field here where I've got my animal barns. It still sees those areas as part of the field. So when it's calculating how much money the field made, it's calculating it based on dividing the total number of acres of that field by how much profit that field has generated. If we look down here at field 13, over the time I can't remember when I installed precision farming, but since I installed precision farming on this map, this field has generated $3,641,506 in profit for the farm. So it breaks down your costs and it breaks down your revenue, including things like lime, fertilizer used, liquid fertilizer used if you use that. Remember, liquid fertilizer is more expensive in the game than mineral fertilizer. Tells you how many seeds have been used for that acreage, how much fuel, how much vehicle maintenance, and how much has been spent on AI helper wages. So it gives you your total yield, total costs, and then total earnings. So, and you can reset that either, in Farming Simulator 19, it was every day. I didn't bother resetting it every day, as you can see. But in Farming Simulator 22, I will be resetting it at the end of each year or at the end of each harvest season, because I want to know what my fields are yielding each year on a seasonal basis, as opposed to on a daily basis like we used to when we played Farming Simulator 19. So for me, the main takeaways of precision farming in Farming Simulator 19 were: 1, the crop analysis or economic analysis of your field, to know what that field's yielding and how much money you're making off that field. Just like in real life, that's something every farmer wants to know and must know in order to run their farm efficiently. The second takeaway for me was huge the improvement in AI workers. Like I said, they actually, if it said it was a 6-meter header, it harvested 6 meters with very, very little overlap. And being able to plan a proper crop rotation based on the nitrogen levels in each field was also, having been a farmer, something I was very interested in. Like I said, soybean, for example, if you had a field that had a very low nitrogen level in it, you planted some soybean, it'll bring it up to 60. Let's say you're planting wheat, which needed, I think, 100 or 120 per hectare. That, by going soybean and then wheat, meant you only had to put down half as much fertilizer as you would have if you had gone straight from, let's say, barley to wheat. So being able to do that was very important. I think some of the benefits coming with this to your economic analysis for Farming Simulator 22, you will be able to know the crop yield a lot better for that field, and you will be able to plan your productions better. Have a good economic analysis to build on, so you know how much you're getting off a certain field in terms of wheat. You know what your production facility uses in a year, so you know how much to grow, either for that facility or to grow and to have some left over to sell. So all in all, I think this is going to be a great add-on that works very, very well with production chains in Farming Simulator 22. For those of you that are new also to Farming Simulator 22, there was a 3-year gap instead of a 2-year gap between releases of Farming Simulator 19 and Farming Simulator 22, as Giants waited to see what the new consoles were capable of. And I don't think it was released intentionally as a stopgap measure. It just happened that precision farming and the deal with the EU and John Deere came through about a year before Farming Simulator 22 came out, and it really, for me, reinvented the game and gameplay. And I probably put in as much time in that third year in the game as I did in the first 2 years of the game. Like I said, it went from just a simple plant harvest sell to actually requiring some thought. Anyway, I hope you found this informative. As I said, I will bring you more details as soon as they become available on what's coming with precision farming. And like I said, we will also do a deep dive into precision farming once it's released, so we know what works best, what crop rotations work best, and what's best for our productions. Take care, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.